So we've got a really nice quote here that they've included to show that their research is not just random, but they've actually done some background. They know things about the topic. Using quotations from other resources is really useful because what it allows us to do is to show off how much we know about our topic and to direct particular information. When we do that, often we can then ask, is this something you agree with? We can do this in interviews as well. So you could say something like, my other resources have identified that underwater knitting should definitely be in the Olympics. Do you agree? You could then talk about the influential impact that, depending where you got that information from, whether people agree with it because of the bias in the source or whether it's actually a really useful fact that they might want to agree with. Other things that are really important, when we give questions that are asking for an opinion, having a why is really useful. If we don't have a why, it means that we don't actually get to the heart of the issue, and it's much more complicated for us to actually interpret that data later. Another thing to consider is, again, adhering to our ethics of being good researchers, we make sure that we actually thank our participants. You could, if you were you're planning on publishing your information somewhere, actually say, the data for my project will be available in 3 months' time. If you would like to, see how I've used this data, please be in touch. There's lots of different ways you could, engage people in your research. So we've looked at an example of a survey, but another section that we need to think about that we've talked about previously is the different steps in actually getting to this. So something that we might consider is some planning reflections or some planning activities so that we have a clear understanding of what we're intending to do. You'll see here we've got the survey purpose, and we've got really clear statements. What are we selecting in terms of age and gender, cultural groups? What are we going to ask them about? What are we actually going to get from them? When we're looking at our planning, we can look at the types of language that we're going to use. We're going to look at the tone that we're going to use, and we're going to look at the style of questioning that we're going to use. All this kind of information helps us to really consider what we're doing. Other things is how we're actually going to get that information out, and then what we're going to actually do to create our surveys. Okay? So all of these types of discussions need to be happening in your head as you're creating your survey or prior to creating your survey, so that you don't waste time doing things that aren't useful. We know that as part of the project, we're always trying to show how we've been ethical. So again, you're talking through your ethical principles. This student here talks about how they wanted it to be optional. They wanted to identify, their awareness that this is a challenging topic, and so they're going to try and, avoid the personal bias. They talk about things like not using direct questioning so that they don't upset anyone. There's lots of discussion in here. This kind of planning can be a really useful tool for your page, so that you have your planning and then your survey questions below, and then you can actually start to annotate it later.